Why do we call letters characters? Think about it. Why do we call A a character? Because A is always A. A is A in public. A is A in private. A is A under pressure. A is A under applause. A does not become B because B is popular. A does not bend itself into C because C got more compliments. A does not change its shape because somebody in the room is uncomfortable with what A represents. That is why it is called a character. Write it down. Character is what remains fixed when the environment changes. Now, this is where many people confuse niceness with character. Niceness can smile and still be unstable. Niceness can apologize for things God commanded. Niceness can agree with everybody and be loyal to nothing. Niceness by itself is not a foundation. Niceness often changes its language, changes its convictions, changes its boundaries, changes its assignment just to keep people comfortable. Character does not do that. Character remains one because character is governed by principle. I am not attacking kindness. Do not misunderstand me. Kindness is beautiful. Tenderness is powerful. Honor is godly. Gentleness is fruit of the Spirit. But niceness is not holiness if it kills assignment. Tweet that to somebody right now. Niceness is not holiness if it kills assignment. If your pleasantness makes you abandon what God told you to build, it is no longer love. It has become fear wearing church clothes. The danger is not that you are kind. The danger is that you are becoming pleasant while your purpose is dying. The danger is that everybody likes the version of you that God never created. They like the quiet you, the agreeable you, the available you, the exhausted you, the you that never says no, the you that never confronts, the you that never disappoints anybody except God. And the tragedy is you call it humility. Sometimes it is not humility. Sometimes it is disobedience with a soft voice. You were not created to be managed by applause. You were not designed to be edited by rejection. You were not born to become whatever the room requires in order to survive emotionally. God did not make you clay in the hands of people. He made you in his image. An image means there is something in you that must remain consistent. If pressure can change your yes has no character. If approval can buy your silence has no holiness. If fear can make you betray instruction, then fear has become your master. And many of you are tired, but you are misdiagnosing your exhaustion. You are not tired because you are serving God. Serving God gives strength, even when it costs you. You are tired because you are managing everybody's disappointment. You are carrying the faces of people in your spirit. You are rehearsing what they might say, what they might think, who might leave, who might withdraw affection, who might call you difficult. So before you obey God, you hold a committee meeting in your imagination with people who were never authorized to govern your destiny. Listen to me carefully. Niceness becomes dangerous when it makes you change what God designed to remain fixed. Your conviction is not rude. Your boundary is not hatred. Your obedience is not arrogance. There are people who will only call you loving as long as you let them control the shape of your life. But the moment you become fixed in purpose, they will call you cold. That is the test. Can you remain A when they wanted B? If this teaching is already confronting the way you have been shrinking your assignment for approval, stay with it. Subscribe. And let this word train your spirit in truth, not performance. Because God is not trying to make you less loving. He is trying to make you whole enough that your love can no longer be used to cancel your obedience. Now let me define this thing, because if your definition is wrong, your life will be wrong. Nice is social behavior designed to make people accept you. Holy is spiritual alignment designed to make you one with God's intention. Nice asks, do they like me? Holy asks, am I true? Nice studies faces. Holy studies purpose. Nice can be manufactured in a moment. Holiness must be formed in the inner man. Holiness does not mean you become hard, mean, angry, suspicious, and impossible to live with. No. Some people call their bad attitude holiness. That is not holiness. That is immaturity with Bible verses. Holiness is not harshness. Holiness is integration. Everybody say integration. Integration means your yes is connected to your values. Your no is connected to your assignment. Your words are connected to your actions. Your private life is connected to your public testimony. You are not divided. You are not scattered. You are not one thing on Sunday and another thing on Monday. You are one. That is why integrity is so important. Integrity means integrated. It means all the parts are working as one. When a building loses integrity, it may still look good from the outside, but the structure is compromised. When a person loses integrity, they may still smile, still sing, still serve, still post scriptures, still say the right things, but inside they are divided. And anything divided long enough will eventually collapse. This is why people pleasing is dangerous. It fragments your identity. It makes you many people. You become one person at church because church people like that version. You become another person at work because promotion requires that version. You become another person around your family because they punish the version that has boundaries. You become another person around strong personalities because you are afraid of rejection. Now tell me, which one is you? Who are you when nobody is clapping? Who are you when the room disagrees? Who are you when obedience makes you unpopular? Write it down. A person without integrity becomes many people depending on who is in the room. That is not holiness. That is social survival. And many believers have mastered social survival and call it wisdom. They know how to adjust the truth just enough to keep peace. They know how to hide conviction just enough to stay included. They know how to smile while disobeying God because they do not want to appear difficult. But holiness is not being agreeable to everyone. Holiness is being one with God's purpose for your life. The Lord our God is one. That means God is never divided against himself. God does not have a public character and a private character. God does not change his values because the audience changes. God is one. So when God says be holy, he is saying be one, be whole, be integrated. Let your spirit, your mind, your mouth, your relationships, your money, your body, your calendar, your decisions all come under one government. The government of purpose. This is where we must separate spiritual fruit from approval addiction. Gentleness is fruit of the spirit. Niceness can be fruit of fear. Gentleness is strength under government. Niceness is often fair under religious language. A gentle person can tell the truth with tears in their eyes. A nice person may lie with a smile on their face. A gentle person can say no without hatred. A nice person says yes and then resents you afterward. A gentle person serves because love governs them. A nice person serves because rejection terrifies them. Do not confuse the two. Kindness serves purpose, but niceness often serves insecurity. Tweet that. Kindness serves purpose, but niceness often serves insecurity. Kindness is free to obey God. Niceness is always negotiating with fear. Kindness can bless you and still refuse you. Niceness cannot refuse you because it needs you to approve its existence. Kindness has dignity. Niceness has desperation. Some of you are not walking in love. You are walking in addiction. You are addicted to being needed, addicted to being liked, addicted to being the one nobody can accuse, addicted to being called humble, sweet, easy, supportive, loyal. But if your loyalty to people makes you disloyal to God, it is not loyalty, it is bondage. If your sweetness makes you dishonest, it is not fruit, it is fear. If your peacekeeping requires you to betray truth, then you are not making peace. You are hiding conflict under religious perfume. God is not impressed by a divided life that sounds polite. He is looking for one life, one heart, one standard, one conviction, one yes, one no, one person. The same person in the boardroom, the bedroom, the church, the family table, the phone call, the text message, the secret conversation, the place where nobody knows your name. Character is not what you perform when people are watching. Character is what remains when the audience leaves. So stop asking, how can I make everyone comfortable with my obedience? You cannot. Obedience will offend anything that benefits from your compromise. Stop asking, how can I be holy and still be liked by everybody? You cannot. Even Jesus was perfect love and they still rejected him. The question is not, do they agree with me? The question is, am I one with what God formed me to be? Nice is not the same as holy. Nice wants acceptance. Holy wants alignment. Nice protects image. Holy protects purpose. Nice bends to the room. Holy bows to God. And until you understand that distinction, you will keep sacrificing assignment on the altar of social approval and calling the smoke worship. Now here is the danger. You can disagree with a principle, but your disagreement does not cancel its authority. Principles are laws. They do not change because you cry. They do not change because your family does not understand. They do not change because the culture votes against them. They do not change because your friends become uncomfortable with them. A principle does not need your permission to remain true. Write it down. Truth is not democratic. Truth does not become false because the majority is offended. If 1 million people vote that fire should not burn, fire will still burn. If a whole nation votes that gravity is outdated, gravity will still work. You can stand on top of a building and say, I do not believe in gravity. Gravity will not argue with you. Gravity will not debate you. Gravity will not call a committee meeting. Gravity will simply prove itself when you step off the edge. That is how assignment works. Assignment is not a suggestion from God. Assignment is a principle established by God. When God gives you purpose, He also gives boundaries. When God gives you purpose, He gives standards. When God gives you purpose, He gives timing. When God gives you purpose, He gives obedience. You cannot say yes to purpose and no to the principles that preserve it. That is impossible. Purpose without principle becomes ambition. Calling without character becomes danger. Assignment without obedience becomes frustration. Some of you want the fruit of assignment without the discipline of assignment. You want the blessing but not the boundary. You want the open door but not the closed door. You want the influence but not the isolation. You want the promise but you still want everybody to approve every step you take. That is not kingdom thinking. That is emotional slavery with religious vocabulary. The principle does not bend for your fear. Say that. The principle does not bend for my fear. If God told you to move, your fear cannot rewrite the instruction. If God told you to stop, your compassion cannot sanctify rebellion. If God told you to speak, your insecurity cannot make silence holy. If God told you to build, your need to be liked cannot make delay wisdom. You can ignore assignment, but assignment will not ignore you. You can postpone obedience, but consequence will still arrive. You can smile through compromise, but compromise has a harvest. You can avoid the conversation today, but truth will meet you tomorrow with interest. That is why many people are not suffering from attack. They are suffering from violated principle. They keep praying against what they participated in creating. Listen carefully. If you violate purpose to preserve peace, you have not created peace. You have delayed conflict and multiplied confusion. Peace is not the absence of noise. Peace is the presence of order. When your life is out of order, silence is not peace. Silence can be fear. Silence can be denial. Silence can be agreement with dysfunction. Some homes are quiet but not peaceful. Some relationships are polite but not truthful. Some ministries are smiling but not aligned. Some businesses are successful but not clean. Noise is not always the enemy. Sometimes truth has to make noise before order can come. This is when niceness becomes dangerous. You refuse to confront because you want peace. You refuse to decide because you want peace. You refuse to separate because you want peace. But what you call peace is really postponement. You are postponing the pain of obedience. You are postponing the cost of clarity. You are postponing the moment when people discover that you belong to God before you belong to their expectations. So I ask you again, when does being nice become disobedience to purpose? It becomes disobedience when your kindness makes you break a principle. It becomes disobedience when your fear of hurting someone makes you hurt what God assigned to you. It becomes disobedience when you would rather disappoint heaven quietly than disappoint people publicly. It becomes disobedience when the applause of people becomes louder than the instruction of God. And let me tell you something about people. People may clap for your compromise, but they cannot carry the weight of your lost destiny. They will praise you for being available while your assignment starves. They will call you loyal while your spirit dries up. They will celebrate your yes while your purpose bleeds. But when the consequence comes, they will not be able to stand before God for you. They cannot answer for the gift you buried. They cannot answer for the instruction you delayed. They cannot answer for the boundaries you removed because you wanted to be liked. That is why you must stop allowing temporary approval to govern eternal assignment. Approval is light. Destiny is heavy. Applause is temporary. Purpose is permanent. Compliments feel good, but they cannot give you back wasted years. They cannot restore the courage you surrendered. They cannot rebuild the altar you abandoned to keep everybody comfortable. You cannot break the principle of assignment. You can only break yourself against it. Tweet that. You cannot break the principle of assignment. You can only break yourself against it. The law will remain. The purpose will remain. The standard will remain. The question is whether you will become one with it or keep injuring yourself trying to negotiate with what God made fixed. So do not ask God to bless what violates his order. Do not ask God to give peace to what is built on fear. Do not ask God to protect a version of you that survives by betraying truth. Come back to principle. Come back to assignment. Come back to obedience. Because the safest place in the world is not where everybody likes you. The safest place in the world is where you are aligned with what God created you to be. Now let us diagnose the disease. Approval addiction is the desire to be liked at the cost of being led by God. Write it down. Approval addiction is not love. It is not honor. It is not humility. It is when your need to be accepted becomes stronger than your commitment to be obedient. An addiction always asks for more. At first, it only asks for a smile. Then it asks for your time. Then it asks for your silence. Then it asks for your conviction. Then it asks for your assignment. That is why you must never negotiate with anything that requires you to become less true in order to be accepted. Approval does not become your master in one day. It becomes your master through small compromises. You say yes when purpose said no. You stay quiet when truth required speech. You remain available to people who drain the strength you need for obedience. You answer every call, every mood, every expectation, every emergency until your calendar is full of people but empty of purpose. And then you say, I am tired. No, you are governed. Who owns your yes? Think about it. Who can make you say yes after God told you no? Who can change your assignment with a facial expression? Who can make you disobey God by being disappointed? Who has so much emotional authority over you that their silence makes you repent for obedience? That person may love you. That person may be close to you. That person may even be important in your history. But if they can move you out of God's will without ever touching you, they have become an unauthorized governor of your destiny. This is why some people are not following the Holy Spirit. They're following the mood of the room. If the room is happy, they have peace. If the room is tense, they change their message. If the room approves, they feel called. If the room withdraws, they question God. My God, your spirit is supposed to be led by the Spirit of God, not by the temperature of people's emotions. The Bible says, as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. It did not say as many as are led by applause. It did not say as many as are led by family pressure. It did not say as many as are led by rejection, compliments, silence, guilt, tears, or facial expressions. Sons are led by spirit. Slaves are led by fear. Approval is a poor master because it pays you with temporary comfort and charges you with permanent loss. It gives you a moment of acceptance, but it steals your time. It steals your focus. It steals your courage. It steals your clarity. It weakens your conviction until you no longer know if you believe what God said or if you only believe what people allowed you to say. And the worst thing approval addiction does is this. It trains people to expect your disobedience as proof of your love. They become accustomed to the version of you that abandons purpose for them. So when you finally obey God, they accuse you of changing. No, you did not change. You returned. You came back to yourself. You came back to principle. You came back to the assignment. They benefited from you neglect. Listen carefully. Whatever you need approval from has power to edit your assignment. Tweet that. Whatever you need approval from has power to edit your assignment. If you need their approval, they can shorten your obedience. If you need their approval, they can silence your truth. If you need their approval, they can delay your movement. If you need their approval, they can make you apologize for being chosen. That is why you must break the appetite. You cannot be free from people while still feeding on their approval. You cannot walk in dominion while begging emotionally for permission to be yourself. You cannot obey God fully while checking every face to see if obedience is acceptable. At some point, your convictions must become stronger than your craving. Now let me tell you something. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will call your healing rebellion. They will call your obedience pride. They will call your clarity offense. They will call your no selfishness. But never let someone who profited from your confusion define your freedom. Approval addiction confuses identity. After a while, you do not know who you are. You only know who people prefer. You know how to be agreeable. You know how to be safe. You know how to avoid conflict. You know how to shrink, but you do not know how to stand. And a person who cannot stand cannot be trusted with assignment, because assignment will always require a moment when you stand alone. So I ask you again, who are you trying hardest not to disappoint? Who gets more consideration than God's instruction? Who can make you feel guilty for obeying heaven? That is the diagnosis. That is the altar. That is the place where your purpose is being negotiated. Approval is not evil when it is in its place. Encouragement is good. Honor is good. Wise counsel is good. But approval becomes idolatry when it replaces obedience. It becomes a master when you cannot move without it. It becomes a prison when you fear losing it more than you fear missing God. Come out from under that government. Let God own your yes again. Let truth own your mouth again. Let purpose own your calendar again. Let obedience become heavier than applause. Because the person you are trying hardest not to disappoint may be the very person you must stop obeying if you are going to fulfill what God placed on your life. Now this is why God never begins with dominion. He begins with image. Genesis 1:26 says, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion. Notice the order. Image first, dominion second, character first, authority second, identity first, assignment second. God never gives power before. He establishes nature, because power without character destroys the carrier. Write it down. Dominion is dangerous in the hands of a divided person. If you do not know who you are, influence will confuse you. If your identity is for sale, responsibility will expose you. If approval can purchase your obedience, then assignment will become a marketplace where every loud person comes to bid on your destiny. Assignment is a form of dominion. Do not make dominion mystical. Dominion means responsibility. Dominion means influence. Dominion means access. Dominion means authority. Dominion means God gives you something to manage on his behalf. A family is dominion. A business is dominion. A ministry is dominion. A gift is dominion. A platform is dominion. A relationship is dominion. A conversation where truth must be spoken is dominion. So before God trusts you with what affects people, he must form in you what can survive people. Charisma can attract people, but character can withstand them. Tweet that. Charisma can draw a crowd, but character can survive the crowd. Charisma can make people listen, but character determines whether you will tell them the truth after they start liking you. Charisma can open the door, but character keeps you from selling the room to whoever claps the loudest. This is why many gifted people collapse. They had attraction without formation. They had visibility without integrity. They had opportunity without image. They wanted dominion, but they did not want discipline. They wanted assignment, but they still needed everybody to approve them. And when people came with expectations, they had no inner government strong enough to say, no, I belong to God. God does not build kingdom assignment on an identity that is for sale to the highest approval. If your yes can be bought by praise, you are not ready. If your no can be canceled by tears, you are not ready. If your obedience can be delayed by someone's disappointment, you are not ready. That does not mean God does not love you. It means God loves you too much to let your gift destroy you. Niceness wants influence without confrontation. Kingdom leadership cannot work like that. Nice wants everyone smiling. Purpose wants everything aligned. Nice asks, how can I lead them and still have them like me? Kingdom asks, how can I serve God's intention even if they misunderstand me? Nice wants the benefit of leadership without the burden of truth. But there is no dominion without decisions. There is no assignment without boundaries. There is no leadership without the courage to disappoint people for the sake of principle. If you cannot disappoint people, you cannot lead them. Let that settle in your spirit. If every frown controls you, if every complaint reshapes you, if every withdrawal of affection makes you repent for obeying God, then you do not have dominion. You have dependency. You are not leading. You are being led by the emotions of the people you are assigned to serve. God does not give assignment to make you popular. He gives assignment to make you responsible. Popularity is not the goal of purpose. Responsibility is. God did not call Moses because Pharaoh would like him. God did not call Jeremiah because Israel would celebrate him. God did not call Joseph because his brothers would approve him. God did not call Jesus because the religious system would applaud him. God's assignment will always place you in conflict with something that prefers your silence. That is why image must come before dominion. Image means you carry the nature of the one who sent you. You do not just carry a message. You carry his government. You carry his values. You carry his standard. You carry his restraint. You carry his courage. You carry his love. You carry his truth. If you lose his image while trying to keep people, then you have lost the very thing that qualified you for assignment. Power does not corrupt. Power reveals corruption. Influence does not create weakness. Influence exposes weakness. Access does not invent compromise. Access reveals what was never governed. So before God expands your reach, he works on your image. Before he gives you more people, he asks, can you remain one? Before he gives you more authority, he asks, can you stay true? Before he gives you more dominion, he asks, can you obey me when people do not understand? Character is not the opposite of kindness. Character is what keeps kindness holy. Character is what allows you to love people without being owned by them. Character is what allows you to serve without becoming a slave to approval. Character is what allows you to be gentle without becoming weak, available without becoming drained, compassionate without becoming disobedient. So stop asking God for more influence if you are still governed by approval. Ask him for image. Ask him for integration. Ask him for a backbone made of conviction and a heart kept clean by love. Because assignment requires character strong enough to survive people. Not hate people, not avoid people, not dominate people, survive people. God forms your image before he trusts you with dominion. Character before assignment, image before influence, integrity before increase. And if you will let him form you, your kindness will no longer be a doorway for manipulation. It will become a weapon of truth, governed by love, strong enough to carry what God assigned to your life. Now let us test this thing. Character is never proven in a vacuum. Character is proven under pressure. Anybody can be kind when nobody is pulling on their weakness. Anybody can smile when obedience costs nothing. Anybody can sound spiritual when no door is being offered, no relationship is being threatened, no comfort is being removed. But the moment approval becomes available, the real government of your soul is revealed. There are 3 places where niceness betrays purpose. Write them down. Access to people, access to comfort, access to opportunity. These are not small tests. These are gates. These are places where your future is negotiated. These are places where fear dresses up like wisdom and compromise dresses up like kindness. The first test is people. Can you tell the truth when someone may withdraw affection, invitation, money, friendship, or access? Can you obey God when somebody you love may not like the version of you that obedience produces? Can you remain kind without becoming controlled? Can you love them and still refuse them? That is character. Some of you only tell the truth when the truth is safe. You only have convictions around people who agree with them. But if one angry text can make you change your obedience, you are not governed yet. If one cold shoulder can make you apologize for what God told you to do, you are not protected yet. If one invitation can silence your conviction, then access has become your master. My God. You are not being led by love. You are being managed by fear. The second test is comfort. Can you obey God when obedience makes the room colder? Can you obey when the path becomes lonelier? Can you obey when people misunderstand your motive? Everybody wants purpose until purpose removes comfort. Everybody wants calling until calling requires separation. Everybody wants destiny until destiny says you cannot go with them anymore. You cannot answer that anymore. You cannot laugh at that anymore. You cannot stay available for that anymore. Comfort is dangerous because it does not always look like sin. Sometimes comfort looks like familiarity. It looks like being included. It looks like not making waves. It looks like keeping the peace. But remember, peace is order, not emotional temperature. If you have to violate God's order to keep the room warm, you are not walking in peace. You are worshiping comfort. The third test is opportunity. Can you refuse a door that flatters your ego but violates your values? Can you say no to the platform that wants your gift but not your convictions? Can you refuse the relationship that celebrates your loneliness but threatens your purity? Can you turn away from the business deal that increases your income but corrupts your ethics? Opportunity is one of the greatest tests of character because it often arrives dressed like answered prayer. Not every open door is from God. Some doors are examinations. Some doors are traps with compliments on them. Some doors do not come to bless your assignment. They come to reveal whether your values are stronger than your ambition. If one compliment can redirect you, your assignment is not protected. If one powerful person can make you lower your standard, your assignment is not protected. If one chance to be seen can make you forget who sent you, your assignment is not protected. Look at Joseph. Joseph had access to a moment that could have destroyed his future. Nobody was watching. The opportunity was private. The pressure was real. The invitation was repeated. But Joseph had a value system stronger than the moment. He said, how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Notice, he did not first think about reputation. He thought about God. He did not ask, will I get caught? He asked, will I remain one? That is character. Now look at Samson. Samson did not lose his strength in one day. He entertained what slowly drained him. He kept playing with access. He kept negotiating with danger. He kept getting close to what was assigned to weaken him. And finally, what he entertained cut off what distinguished him. That is what happens when niceness, appetite, and ego govern a person. You do not collapse suddenly. You are drained gradually. Character is not proven by how kind you are when nothing is at stake. Character is proven by what you refuse when approval is available. Tweet that. Character is proven by what you refuse when approval is available. Refusal is a spiritual act. Refusal is how values protect assignment. Refusal is how purpose tells temptation, you cannot buy me. Refusal is how holiness says, I am one. So ask yourself, what can move you? Who can move you? What comfort can move you? What opportunity can move you? Are you for sale through affection? Are you for sale through loneliness? Are you for sale through promotion? Are you for sale through applause? Because whatever can move you away from obedience has already become a throne in your life. God is not trying to make you unfriendly. He is trying to make you unshakable. He is not trying to remove kindness from your heart. He is trying to remove fear from your kindness. When character governs kindness, you can bless people without being bought by them. You can walk into cold rooms without becoming false. You can face open doors without losing your values. Access to people, access to comfort, access to opportunity. These three will test whether you are nice because you are loving or nice because you are afraid. Let God form you in these places. Let him strengthen your no. Let him purify your yes. Let him teach you to refuse anything that requires you to become divided. Because your assignment will never be protected by charm. It will be protected by character. Now, if your assignment is going to be protected by character, then you must learn the language of boundaries. Boundaries are not emotional cruelty. Boundaries are spiritual architecture. Write it down. A boundary is where purpose receives protection. A boundary is the line that tells every demand, every appetite, every relationship, every opportunity, you may come this far, but you cannot cross into what belongs to God. Some of you were taught that love means having no limits. That is not love, that is confusion. Love without limits becomes disorder. Compassion without order becomes exhaustion. Kindness without truth becomes manipulation. If everybody can access everything in you at any time, then you are not loving, you are leaking. And eventually you will have nothing left for the thing God actually assigned you to carry. Look at the beginning. God put man in Eden. And Eden had boundaries. Eden was not a prison. Eden was a garden. But even in a garden, God gave permission and prohibition. He gave abundance and one clear no. He said, you may freely eat. And then he said, but of this tree you shall not eat. Freedom and limitation were in the same environment. My God, that means boundaries did not enter the world because of sin. Boundaries were part of order before sin ever showed up. So do not let people make you feel guilty for having limits. God had a boundary in paradise. If God could put a no in Eden, you can put a no in your calendar. If God could protect purpose with a command, you can protect your assignment with a decision. If God could say this is available but that is not, then you can say I love you but I cannot carry that responsibility. I respect you but I cannot meet that expectation. I care about you but I cannot keep rescuing what God is asking you to steward. That is not rejection. That is order. A boundary is not rejection. It is the fence around fruit. Tweet that. A boundary is not rejection. It is the fence around fruit. The fence does not hate the fruit. The fence protects the fruit. The fence says this is valuable. This has purpose. This cannot be trampled by every passing desire. If there is no fence, then anything can enter. If anything can enter, fruit cannot mature. Without a no, your yes has no value. Think about it. If you say yes to everything, then your yes is not covenant. It is habit. If you are available to everybody, then availability is not service. It is slavery. If every need becomes your assignment, then God is no longer Lord over your time. People are without limits. Your assignment becomes public property. Everybody edits it. Everybody schedules it. Everybody drains it. Everybody names their desire an emergency and expects your obedience to God to wait outside. You must learn to say it cleanly, not angrily, not proudly, cleanly. I cannot carry that responsibility. I cannot meet that expectation. I cannot keep rescuing what God is asking you to steward. I cannot dishonor my assignment to protect your comfort. Say it without hatred. Say it without drama. Say it without needing them to clap for your maturity. A boundary that requires applause is still approval addiction. And stop apologizing for obedience like you committed a crime. Some of you say no, but your no is covered in so much guilt that people can smell weakness in it. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. Please don't be upset. I hope you still understand. That is not humility. That is fear wearing a soft voice. Humility is not self-betrayal. Humility is agreement with God's order. Humility says, I know I am not everything. I know I cannot be everywhere. I know I am not your savior. I know I must obey God with the life he gave me. You are not humble because you let people misuse you. You are not spiritual because you're always tired. You are not loving because you have no schedule, no standard, no margin, no private obedience, no protected altar, no guarded yes. That is not holiness. That is disorder with a smile on it. Jesus had boundaries. He healed people, but he withdrew. He taught crowds, but he also left crowds. He loved everyone, but he did not entrust himself to everyone. He was never rude, but he was never governed by people's urgency. He did not let human demand cancel divine assignment. That is integrated life. That is holiness. That is love under government. Boundaries do not make you less loving. They make your love truthful, ordered, and available for the assignment God gave you. If you never say no, your love becomes contaminated with resentment. You smile, but inside you are angry. You serve, but inside you are bitter. You agree, but inside you are divided. That is why God wants your kindness to have structure. Structured love lasts. Ordered love can be trusted. Truthful love does not need manipulation to survive. So build the fence. Protect the fruit. Guard your assignment. Let your yes be sacred again. Let your no be clean again. Let your love stop being governed by guilt and start being governed by purpose. You are not becoming hard. You are becoming whole. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear. And when you become clear, the people who loved your confusion may complain, but heaven will recognize the sound of obedience. Now let me make this clear, because some people will take this teaching and misuse it. Boundaries are not a license to become rude. Clarity is not permission to become cold. Courage is not an excuse to become proud. Truth is not a weapon for your ego. Kingdom courage must still carry honor. Write it down. If your truth has no love, it is not kingdom. If your love has no truth, it is not kingdom. God is not raising up harsh people. He is raising up whole people. Whole people do not need to attack in order to be clear. Whole people do not need to insult in order to be firm. Whole people can say no with dignity. Whole people can tell the truth with clean hands and a steady heart. There is a difference between harshness and clarity. Harshness attacks people. Clarity protects purpose. Harshness wants to wound. Clarity wants to align. Harshness is often pain looking for a pulpit. Clarity is obedience looking for expression. So do not call your anger discernment. Do not call your bitterness boldness. Do not call your impatience prophecy. If your motive is to punish, you are not being clear. You are being carnal with religious language. But do not go to the other extreme and call fear love. Some of you have been silent so long that you now think silence is maturity. No, sometimes silence is fear that learned church words. Sometimes silence is approval, addiction, wearing wisdom's clothes. Sometimes silence is you protecting an image while purpose is bleeding. Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Simple, integrated. One, his yes was not confused. His no was not apologetic. His compassion healed people, but his obedience disappointed people. He fed multitudes, and some still left him. He raised the dead, and some still plotted against him. He told the truth, and religious people called him dangerous. He loved perfectly, and perfect love still offended people who preferred deception. So stop measuring love by whether everyone stays pleased. If Jesus could love perfectly and still be rejected, then rejection is not proof that you were unloving. Sometimes rejection is proof that truth finally arrived. Sometimes offense is what happens when clarity touches a lie. Sometimes people are not offended because you were wrong. They are offended because your obedience removed their control. Real love refuses to participate in deception. Real love does not help people remain false just to keep the room comfortable. Real love refuses dependency that makes you their substitute for God. Real love refuses manipulation that uses tears, guilt, anger, or withdrawal to control your obedience. Real love refuses spiritual immaturity that keeps asking you to rescue what God is requiring them to steward. Love does not mean I become your excuse. Love does not mean I lie to keep you comfortable. Love does not mean I let you use my kindness to avoid your growth. Love does not mean I give you access to the altar God told me to guard. Love means I serve God's purpose for you, not your appetite in the moment. Ask yourself this question. Where have you renamed fear as wisdom? Where have you said, I am just being careful, when the truth is you are afraid to obey? Where have you renamed delay as patience? You keep waiting, but God already spoke. You keep praying, but the instruction is already clear. You keep asking for confirmation because you are hoping heaven will change its mind and make obedience cheaper. And where have you renamed silence as peace? Peace is not the absence of confrontation. Peace is the presence of order. If a liar is sitting in the room and you are quiet because you do not want tension, that is not peace. That is agreement by silence. If manipulation is governing the relationship and you keep smiling because you do not want conflict, that is not peace. That is bondage with good manners. Write this in the comments if you mean it. I choose obedience over approval. Say it until your spirit hears you. I choose obedience over approval. Or write the truth God is calling you to live out. Not the truth that sounds impressive. The truth that is connected to his original purpose for your life. I will stop lying to be liked. I will stop saying yes out of fear. I will tell the truth with honor. I will protect what God assigned to me. Put it where your own eyes can see it, because confession is how conviction becomes visible. But remember, do not confess it and then become arrogant. Truth does not need arrogance to be strong. Truth is already strong. Principle does not need your attitude to defend it. Principle stands by itself. Your responsibility is to align with it, not contaminate it with pride. Love is not proven by avoiding difficult truth. Love is proven by serving God's purpose with clean hands and a steady heart. Clean hands means your motive is pure. Steady heart means your obedience is not shaking because someone is unhappy. Clean hands, steady heart, truthful mouth, honorable spirit. That is kingdom clarity. So speak when God requires speech. Be quiet when wisdom requires restraint. Say yes when purpose gives permission. Say no when obedience demands protection. Do not be harsh. Do not be cowardly. Be one. Be integrated. Be holy. Because love tells the truth without needing permission from the people who benefited from your silence. Now, after truth is spoken, restoration must begin. God does not expose approval, addiction to shame you. He exposes it to recover you. He is not trying to embarrass you. He is trying to bring back the person he designed before fear trained you to perform. Conviction is not condemnation. Conviction is heaven's invitation to return to your original government. Write it down. Exposure is mercy when it leads to alignment. God shows you the false master so you can come back under the true king. He shows you where you surrendered your yes, where you sold your no, where you called fear wisdom, where you call exhaustion faithfulness, where you call bondage love. Not to destroy you, to restore you. So now you must take inventory. Do not shout over this. Sit with it. List the yeses that were not obedience. List the agreements you made only because you were afraid of being disliked. List the relationships that punish your growth. If they can only love the version of you that is silent, small, available, and afraid, then they do not love your assignment. They love your usefulness. List the roles that consume your calling. Some roles look honorable, but they are eating the thing God gave you to build. You are everybody's helper, but absent from your own purpose. You are everybody's counselor, but disobedient to your own instruction. You are everybody's emergency contact, but unavailable for the altar God assigned to your life. My God, you can be busy in a role and still be bankrupt in purpose. List the habits that keep peace at the price of purpose. The delayed phone call, the fake smile, the unnecessary apology, the explanation you keep rehearsing for people God did not appoint as judges over your obedience, the overfunctioning, the people-pleasing, the emotional debt you keep paying to people who spend your life like they own it. Now, restoration requires rebuilding your value system. Assignment is not recovered by emotion. Assignment is recovered by values. Your philosophy produces your values. What you believe determines what you value. What you value determines your morals. Your morals shape your ethics. Your ethics form your character, and your character becomes your lifestyle. That is why you cannot just say, I will be stronger next time. No, strength without values is temporary emotion. You need a system. You need internal government. You need conviction that has already made decisions before pressure arrives. Because if you wait until the text comes, until the tears come, until the invitation comes, until the compliment comes, until the threat comes, you may negotiate again with the thing God told you to refuse. Character is self-imposed discipline, not imposed by your pastor, not imposed by your spouse, not imposed by your friends, self-imposed. That means I lock myself inside my convictions before temptation offers me a key. I decide before the meeting what I will not trade. I decide before the relationship what I will not explain away. I decide before the opportunity what I will no longer call favor. I decide before the pressure what I will no longer call love. Say this until it becomes law in your spirit. I will not lie to be liked. I will not shrink to be accepted. I will not betray assignment to keep access. I will not confuse manipulation with relationship. I will not call control concern. I will not call guilt guidance. I will not call fear humility. I will not call exhaustion sacrifice when God never asks for it. I will not make people my God and then ask God to bless my idolatry. That is how you recover assignment. You rebuild the value system that approval addiction trained you to violate. Approval taught you to value being liked more than being aligned. Approval taught you to value access more than integrity. Approval taught you to value comfort more than truth. Approval taught you to value image more than obedience. Now the kingdom must retrain your values. You must value truth again. You must value obedience again. You must value purity again. You must value order again. You must value your assignment enough to disappoint what cannot go with it. Some friendships must be reclassified. Some conversations must be ended. Some rooms must be left. Some roles must be resigned from internally before you ever resign from them externally. Because restoration begins when your values stop bowing to your fear. And hear me carefully. God is not merely healing your emotions. He is restoring your government over your gift. He is not just making you feel better. He is preparing you to be deployed. Deployment means your gift is no longer ruled by your wound. Deployment means your kindness is no longer managed by approval. Deployment means your love has order. Your yes has integrity. Your no has strength. And your life has one government. So recover what you gave away. Recover your voice. Recover your time. Recover your values. Recover your altar. Recover the assignment that got buried under everybody's expectations. Do not recover it with pride. Recover it with repentance. Recover it with discipline. Recover it with clean hands and a steady heart. God designed you before people approved you. God assigned you before people needed you. God called you before people misunderstood you. Come back to the original. Come back to the image. Come back to the values that make character possible. Because when your values are restored, your ethics become clear. When your ethics are clear, your character becomes stable. And when your character becomes stable, your lifestyle becomes a testimony that approval no longer owns you. Now hear me as we close. Niceness without character becomes fear. Fear bends obedience. Bent obedience weakens assignment. And weakened assignment robs the world of your gift. That is not a small matter. When you allow approval to govern what God designed to govern you, people do not just get a pleasant version of you, they get a divided version of you. And a divided person cannot carry an undivided assignment. The goal is not to become less kind. Write it down. The goal is not to become less kind. The goal is to become so whole that kindness can no longer be used to cancel obedience. God is not delivering you from love. He is delivering you from fear in the name of love. He is not making you rude. He is making you real. He is not making you hard. He is making you holy. Holy means one, integrated, undivided. The same before God, the same before people, the same when praised, the same when rejected. That is character. A is still A at midnight. A is still A under pressure. A is still A in promotion. A is still A in rejection. A is still A in misunderstanding. You do not call it character because it changes with the room. You call it character because it remains itself. And that is the life God is forming in you. A life that does not need a different version for church, a different version for business, a different version for family, a different version for private appetite, a different version for public applause. One life, one standard, one government, one Lord, There is no such thing as a private life. There is only a hidden life waiting to become visible. So live loudly, live transparently. Do nothing in secret that you would be ashamed to explain in the light of purpose. If you cannot bring it before God, do not carry it in private. If you cannot explain it without lying, do not build it. If you have to hide it to keep your image, then your image has become more important than your integrity. This week, I want you to practice 3 things. Not think about them, practice them. 1 obedient, no. 1 truthful, yes. 1 act of courage where approval has been controlling you. Say no where fear has been saying yes. Say yes where insecurity has been delaying obedience. Take 1 courageous step where you have been waiting for people to approve what God already authorized. And do it cleanly. No drama, no arrogance, no announcement to punish people. Just obedience. Let your no have peace in it. Let your yes have conviction in it. Let your courage have humility in it. Character does not need noise to be strong. Character is quiet law inside a person. It has already decided before the pressure arrives. If this word is helping you return to God's original design, subscribe for teachings that form character. Share it with someone whose assignment is too valuable to be controlled by approval. And comment the truth you are choosing to believe and live, not a slogan. A conviction. I will obey God without needing applause. I will stop betraying purpose for acceptance. I will live 1 life before God and people. Put it where your mouth can train your mind and your mind can train your behavior. Because the world does not need another nice person who can be bought with acceptance. The world needs sons and daughters with character, people with clean hands, people with steady hearts, people whose kindness is truthful, people whose love has boundaries, people whose yes is sacred and whose no is not for sale. Your gift is too valuable to be governed by fear. Your assignment is too important to be negotiated by insecure people. Your life belongs to God before it belongs to anyone's opinion. So come back to the original. Come back to image before dominion. Come back to character before assignment. Come back to holiness. Come back to being one. Let God make you stable enough to be trusted with influence, strong enough to survive rejection, pure enough to handle opportunity, humble enough to carry power, and disciplined enough to remain faithful when nobody is clapping. Say it until it becomes your government. I am not called to be liked by everyone. I am called to be faithful, whole, disciplined, and available for the assignment God gave me.